Hi everyone, today I want to show you how I use the tattered leaves, Tim Holtz alterations dies and the tattered leaves, and perfectly to go along with that is the mini branch and leaf set. It just takes it down that level from this large leaf here. They're fabulous. I don't know how anybody survives without them. It means you can create leaves at any time, any place, anyhow, all different styles. Some today I'll show you are quite traditional, some of them are a bit out there, and some of the artwork that I create from them when I'm teaching people how to use the die and the things they can do with it. Okay, let's have a look. This is what you get when you cut out the die. You get these 3 cutouts. They come out quite cleanly. These dies are superb. Can't say enough about them. I'll cut out anything. I use them for, look at the thickness of this leather here. It just slices through it like butter. My metal, everything goes through them, and you can cut several at once. I like to cut several at once so that I can keep a stash on hand to apply to the different projects I make. Over here are just a few samples of some of the leaves that I like to make. There's just a few. Some of them are completed, some of them aren't. A few things about them. I love to use crackle accents to accentuate the middle of these. It also makes some of them curl up really nicely so they appear like leaves. I don't always use traditional colours, but a lot of these are. And I'm going to show you a few bits of artwork that I've created with them. This is one. I have quite dark tastes, so you'll find it quite a dark canvas, but this canvas looks really, really beautiful when it's lit from behind, and that's when you see the richness of all the colours that are in this canvas. I'll let it a bit so you can see it. Okay. What I've done with a lot of these leaves, I've applied several different methods of colouring them and using texture on them. There are leaves on here, like this one for instance, that's actually made out of leather. There are ones that are made out of paper. There are ones that are made out of metal. I've also used some textured papers in here. These are what I call more traditional type leaves, leaves that are made to look a lot like leaves. Except obviously for the ones I've made out of copper here. Still cut out of that same die, still easily applied to your artwork, and you can just have so much fun with it. If you're wondering what this is, because I'm sure to get a question, this is from one of Tim Holtz sets. It is the Take Flight set from Stampers Anonymous and Tim Holtz. It's a beautiful set. Fun to colour up the bird, and it's very easy to apply. Now I've made this particular one quite dark on there because that's how I like it, because it's been lit from behind, but you can make it in the more traditional. This is a smaller version of it from another stamp set. You can make it more traditional like this where you really get the colours coming through. So this is one piece of art, easy to do. I will do videos on how you create these effects, perhaps in lighter versions if you prefer them. Here's another one that I created, similar type theme. They're actually part of a series of 3 that I'm doing. Again, I've used the metal, leather. This is actually leather. When you're stamping leaves on leather, it can be fun to, after you've stamped them and you've coated them using like a multi-medium, like Claudine Helm's matte or gloss medium. It's fun to crunch them up afterwards, because I don't know whether you can actually see the detail on this, but they actually crease and go all crinkly, and it looks really, it's a fun effect. So this is just another piece of art that I've done using the leaf die. To do your more traditional pieces of artwork, in my last video when we did the LeBlanc stamps, you can see where I put one of those metal leaves on this tag. Fun, easy to apply, but it can be applied in many cases. I'll have photos at the end of this so you can see a lot of these at the more clearly. Again, another tag. I love tags. This is a Dusty Attic chippy. They look fabulous, but these are the metal leaves again. Coloured up some flowers, did some effects. This is actually an effect. If you go to Tim Holtz's blog, he did his Christmas tags last year where he used this particular method to create this wood grain effect in the back. You should check out his blog, it's fabulous. If you haven't already, I'm sure everybody has. And you can create some cool effects with your metal, with your colours. Then you can get more traditional. This is also one that when I did the LeBlanc stamping, and all I did to bring this out and give it more dimension was slip a few of these little leaves on there, a few flowers, and it just brings your tag alive, so you've got more movement and interest there. I've created this one for my very long-winded album that I'm making, mini album that I'm making for a granddaughter, the Once Upon a Springtime papers from Graphic 45. Here I've cut out images and put it on there with the leaves, using glossy accents to create raindrop effect on the leaves. Also, use your leaves in other ways. Here I've actually stamped words on there to portray my message, because it's all part of the overall effect of this tag. And you can do that. You can stamp your words on your leaf and insert it into your scrapbook page or onto your card, and it looks fabulous. It's fun. Here's another way to do that same look here. This is where I have created a card, but I have also stamped. This is a Crafty Secret stamp. It's one of their new ones. Absolutely gorgeous. I can't remember the name of it, but I'll put it in the video somewhere. And I've created a scene, stamped a picture of the little fairy on there, have the words up the top to send a message in another leaf, and I think they look gorgeous. I think it's a fabulous effect. I've also done it on this tags just to show you can do it in many different ways, many different colours. That's what's great about having a die to create these leaves. You can do it any colour. You're not stuck with something. Or some of the leaves that you get, there's some beautiful leaves out there you can add to your artwork, but sometimes you want to change them and they just don't take the wetting and the inking, or they're too dark. But this way you can create just whatever you want, however you want. To be different, you can create leaves that are different like this. I mean, sometimes you just don't want them to look like leaves. But you can create a little effect down here where you give them quite a lacy appearance. It looks great. It's fun to put on in your scrapbooks. If you don't want if you're not using mini albums but you're wanting a flat scrapbook page, all you would do is lower the profile of your flower and it easily go into your scrapbook pages. Christmas time's always fun. It's a great time to have leaves going on, and this is one I created last Christmas, and I've actually used, and again this is using that same effect that Tim Holtz taught us in his tags of Christmas, and we cut the leaves out of Claudine Helmut's sticky back canvas, which was lots of fun, and made the flower again out of the sticky back canvas. And I have actually embossed mine using pressure embossing folder to create the texture on the leaf, and use some distress stickles on there. So you can use anything. Fabric's fabulous. Again, here you can change up your leaf. You don't want a leaf that looks like this. You really want it to go with a Christmas, in a Christmas setting. You can just do it out of one of your papers and texture. I like to back mine. Actually, I think I've backed this with fabric because I like my tags and leaves and anything I put on them to be really strong, and create wonderful tags, cards out of those. You can also put this is one that I've done, and it's a metal leaf, and I've just put my flower on top of it Great for round napkin rings, round candles to create effects. Or again, insert it into your card. More traditional type. This is a big one. It is going on a box that I'm making, and I've created an effect with the leaves that is more traditional, but still lots of fun. Another one for my album, where I've just got an array of leaves there, pretty traditional looking, some flowers, some fairies, fun effects. So try them all, you'll have a lot of fun, but it is so good to have on tap to be able to create any leaf that you want at any time. So I'm going to show you how I make all these. Okay, we have our shapes here, and you can see over here where I have stamped some of these. Now I've used archival because I'm going to be using distress ink over the top, and it needs to keep its integrity. Some of these I have done both. I've stamped with the archival ink, and I've also put paint over the top. I can show you, I've got over here a palette of paint, and all this is the paint dabbers. Sometimes I have been known to squirt, if it gets a bit dry, to squirt a little bit of perfect pill mist of some sort in there to get it going. But let me just show you what I do with the straight inks. The stamp set I'm using to create the leaf effect is Tim Holtz Falling Leaves set. It's fabulous. Now these don't match your cutouts exactly, they don't need to, and you can see as I'm doing this, and I'm quite haphazard about the way I do stamp these, as I tend to be with a lot of my crafting. If it's got to be, I've got to be able to create them quickly, and it's got to be fun for me. And if I've got to place and carry, get all precise, it becomes no longer fun for me. So you can do it, but if I can do it, anybody can do it. So there you go, there's all the choices that you have. I use paint on them. My stamps are nice and clean because I like to use them. They're tough. They're tougher than you think, these stamps. A lot of people like to keep them perfectly, that's fine. So let me show you what I do. Okay, my archival ink. And I just tap my come to there. Usually getting all over my fingers at the same time. It's half the fun for me. And I will place it on my cutout here, and I just kind of put it on. There'll be bits missed. That doesn't matter. If you really like to get all the bits, you can be haphazard and just go back in there and stamp a bit. Nobody's going to be able to tell what you've done after you've got the, if you like to be perfectly covered, do that. If you like its little stem to be darker, do that. And you create yourself a leaf that you can now colour. You could paint it, you can do it however you like. There's just so many different ways of doing it. This is just one. This is actually leather, and leather stamps really well. I'll do one on leather here for you. You can use colours if you like. I just like to use the black. And you can see, you can stamp this anyway. You can use your pad to tap it all over. You can do it the other way like this and tap it all over. I don't think there may be rules out there, but I'm certainly not going to follow them. I just like having fun and playing. Again, cover it all if that's what you would like it. You don't want any spare bits in there. Colour up that stalk if that's what you want to do. And that one's ready to go as well. It's as simple as that. And the ones that are shaped like this, I'm doing all this. Look, I've got my fingerprints all over it. It won't matter in the mix. You can actually smudge it out if you want to, because it really won't matter. And you just do like that. There's stalk. You can stamp fabric as well. You've got to be careful that the fabric hasn't got a high pile on it, because obviously it's only going to hit the tops of it. But that just shows you how easy this is to stamp, and it just shows you how quickly I love to get dirty. I'm sure that you would be a lot tidier than me. Let me get rid of some of this. I have a nice big bottle of Stays On cleaner around when I'm making messes. Get rid of that. The next way I want to show you is actually with paint. So I've made here a little palette using paint dabbers, just all different colours. This is a little bit, I think I might use a little bit of this Perfect Pearl Mist. I didn't do it on the others, but I'll do it on this one because this is a little dry when I was creating these. And I've done exactly the same thing, only this time I've used a sponge applicator, the ones that you use to put on your, distress ink, and I just use it into my paint because you can apply it to the stamp really easily. Just use a little bit of this. We'll just mess it up a little bit. Wet it and put a little bit of sheen in there. And I'll just mess around a few of these colours. A little bit of this darker one. And you can see where I've used this one before, and you just fill it up. Which is probably still wet. They actually stay wet for quite a long time. Get some of that paint on there. Just stamp. I'll do some of these ones, and we've done some of those ones. And you just apply it. Mush it on there, as I say. And put it onto, and you get this type of thing. You can do that same thing again that I was telling you before, where you can fill in the gaps if you want to do that. I don't always like to do that because I like to give them a bit of dimension and have some solid colour on the edges, but you can. And of course this will resist, both the archival ink and the paint will resist the water-based distress inks that go over the top. My palette's running out, so this is the type of thing I do when it's running out. I stamp directly into it. Because I've made quite a few of them over there, I just wanted to give you the general idea. And of course another fun thing to do is to lay down the lighter colours and highlight your leaves on one side. It can be fun, and this is purely up to you. There's just so many different ways that you can make this look fabulous. Do light on this side, do a bit of that dark on the other. Just have some fun and enjoy it. That's the good ones. This one. Not going to show up. Oh, I might do it on this one. That way you'll be able to see it a bit better. And you've got light on one side and dark on the other. You can go back and put a bit of this and that. It doesn't really matter, because once you colour this up, any marks or anything that you think looks awful won't look awful anymore. Okay, so I've gathered a few leaves around me and I'm going to start colouring them up. I have got my distress colour palette in front of me, so I kind of know what colours I'm going to go for. It's best to start light and then go to the dark. Use your ink blending tool to apply your ink and create some kind of effects. Now I've got the ones in front of me that I have stamped with archival ink, some that I've done with the archival ink and the paint, acrylic paint, and some I've just done with the acrylic paint, some that I've created in leather. Another fun thing to do as well is, I like skeleton leaves, but I find them too fine and too delicate to put in a lot of my work. They look great when you put them in there, but they break up quite easily. You can UT them, which is really cool, keeps them quite strong, but it changes the whole effect of the leaves. I will often glue these down to scrap paper, like I have here, and then I'll cut leaves out of them using the die. That's lots of fun, and you get a really strong leaf, something that you can put into any project and not worry about it ripping, tearing, or deteriorating over the years. And if we're going to all this trouble to make all these beautiful bits of art, we don't want them to deteriorate too quickly or to be too damaged by handling. And people do love to handle the different work that you make. They're proud of it, they like it. They like you've created it for them. So try that. You can see I've done it on quite a few here. There's another one there. Some little ones over there somewhere. You can do it on very tiny ones. I haven't edged this one, but you can get some quite delicate, pretty flowers out of it in any colour. It does create that nice, more natural veined effect over the top if that's what you like. So do try that. It's lots of fun. Okay, I've got a few colours here. Let's have a go. You can also colour up your pages before you actually cut your leaves out, because depending on these ones are made out of not a very strong bit of paper at all, and sometimes if you're rough like I am, you can rip the paper or you get it too wet. So if you're inclined to do that, colour up the piece of paper and cut the leaf out of it then, and then edge it. I tend to make these leaves out of paper, colour them up, and often I'll use my multimedia glossy accents and crackle accents, etc. over the top, which then it actually gives them quite a strength. So you can make some fabulous leaves out of some quite delicate paper, and just, again, not worry about it tearing. Some quite cool colours into these just by blending your colours. All these colours go so well together that he's a fabulous designer, is Tim Holtz, because he's made these of a shade so that you don't have to think about whether these colours will go together or blend together. They just will. Yeah. And then you have a really pretty leaf. Now you can define that more, which you will. You can scrunch it up and you can spray it with all your different sprays, your Tattered Angels, your Perfect Pearl Mists, your Lindy Stamp Gang, and have lots of fun. But when I'm putting this onto a project, the one thing I always do is I do take one of my darker colours, I'll use the Forest Moss here, and define my leaf, give it its edge. And it's as simple as that. You would treat this leaf no differently if you were making it out of the leather. This is the leather one. On the leather, a bit harder to apply to the leather because it really soaks in. That turns out a slightly darker colour. But the second I glossy accent this or use the multi-medium on that, the colours will come out a lot richer. And again, with these ones, it's still the same deal. You have to define your edges. There you go. You can see how it has a darker effect on the leather, and that same applies to it when you're using it on fabric. You can actually, if you really like to, you can apply them straight onto the leaf. You've got to, of course, make sure that your leaf is really dry, and be careful about which ones you mingle together, because you don't want to stain your light pad. You can clean away some of the top colour off your painted areas because it's resisting the others. You get quite cool effects. And remember, any time you don't like an effect, you can just stamp over it again with some paint, change the colour again. Don't forget to define your edges. You can also stamp over them with the distress ink as well, but remember it will wipe easily off this area, but it will cling to the paper areas if you're wanting to get a little bit of grain in there. Or you can grab your stamp again and do it with the archival. And you get a nice cool effect, like it. Now if you're going to curl these leaves up, don't forget to do the back. And you can see where the back this has actually been done in a paper, but don't let that put you off. You can take it out altogether, leave some of that colours coming through, and then when it comes to where you need to curl this up or shape it or mould it, it's actually got a back in there, because it's not all, you don't want to just always put these down flat on your work. You want to mould them and get dimension in there and curl them, and they're surprisingly strong. You can scrunch them up and shape them and break that tension in the paper so you can get some really neat effects and sit them on your work dimensionally. Once you've broken that tension in there, they become quite pliable, and then you can create the different effects with the flowers to put into your work. So you can do that as well. See, now I've dried that more on the leather, how it comes up a lot lighter. It's also a lot of fun to wax these. Often when I've got my melting pot going, I'll put wax in it and put it into the leather. The leather soaks it up nicely, and when you actually scrunch this up, I don't think I've got one here to show you, but when you scrunch it up, all those little wrinkles and cracks come into the wax, and yet this stays nice and pliable. It's a fabulous effect. Now if I was to paint that, say with a multi-medium, I'll use a gloss here. Once this is dried, it'll bring those colours out even more. And the same goes of course with the ones that you've made out of the paper. I don't always put the gloss right over them all, because I kind of like letting them be highlighted using the medium, so you've got half a leaf, one shade reflecting the light and the other not. That also adds dimension. And I also like to put my crackle accents on, and often, especially with this particular shaped leaf, it really drags in those edges and curls the leaves and makes them look quite natural. And we'll put a bit of crackle accent through the middle of this one, just to put it up to one side, and that's going to look quite cool when it's finished. So that's the crackle accents, and we'll glossy accent part of this one. All these things actually add strength. I very rarely have my lid on my glossy accents. I just put a pin in the end of it and leave it there. That's got a glossy accent on one side, and I put drops on the other to make it look like there's water dripped on there. Lots of fun. These are the smaller ones. You don't always want big leaves. Sometimes you want smaller ones. Like I showed you in this little piece, little leaves around the bottom here. The little leaves around here. These ones I've embossed with a lace. It was one of Donna Salazar's lace stamps, and then I've just coloured it up with the Distress inks to get a nice lacy pattern in there. So the little ones, and this goes for the big ones as well. You can see here where all I've done is I have used one of Tim Holtz embossing folders on that. Then I have just crinkled it up, and then I've got the 10-second Studio buffer here, and I've just buffed the edges to make it look like there's movement in the leaf, and so you can see the veins in the leaf. Quite cool effect, and you can get, because this is with the 10-second Studio metal, it's quite dimensional. You can move it around and put it on your work anyhow you like. I'd love to make one out of the leather and the metal, some sort of large piece at some stage. And these ones, all I have done is I have actually just dripped alcohol ink onto them so I can get an intensity of colour, and then I've just used a tool where I've put little veins in the back of it so it pushes out the centre, and then when you give it a bit of a sand, it highlights the edges of the leaf, and it highlights the veins that are within the leaf. You don't, of course, have to have them looking traditional. This one, I've used one of the grid folders. They look really nice too. The copper looks great on them. This is actually a word one in there by the looks of things, so it doesn't really matter. You can actually put words into the leaves, which looks fabulous, or write people's names into the leaves, which is another thing I'll show you how to do at some stage, is the writing on the metal. 10-second Studio, I have quite a few videos on their site, and they show you how to do it, and it's quite simple. And this one I've embossed, but I've also gone over the top again with the archival ink, because the archival ink will stamp onto metal really well. I've done it after I have dripped the alcohol ink on there, because if you put it on before you put that alcohol ink on there, it will just float away, because the alcohol will move your archival ink around. But you can, again, you can just highlight those edges, get them all beautiful, and use it in your work. With all the beautiful metallic paints that you have with your paint dabbers, you can get your I Am Roses or your Prima, and you can colour them up with the metallic look paints and have some fabulous effects. I haven't got one here at the moment, but I'll try that out. And I know that I've done it on other projects where you make the paper roses look like they are made out of metal, and then you use these beautiful leaves. So don't have your tattered leaves die sitting in the corner not doing anything, because it is such a versatile die. You'll never regret buying it if you buy it. You'll use it all the time. You can just create any type, style of leaf you like. You can put glass bead gel, you can put distress stickles, you can spray them with your mists, and with the die you have those really cool shapes, so you can there's a sort of a leaf there for every occasion. And with a smaller one you can create all those little leaves, which are great.